Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead. So we came in this morning after the debate. Everyone actually said the debate was a little closer than some of the polls say, but either way, some are saying because, Hillary is going to be the winner, which is an opinion that the market responded well. All right, maybe that added a little enthusiasm. I think more because we've had a pretty broad-based move in a lot of these things. You had oil come back in play and continuing to grind higher. The banks have been, bid for even with the poor jobs report like we had on Friday. Tech has been mixed but trending higher at all-time highs today. So you had a little bit of everything. So I would have thought we could have had a bit better traction today, but you know what? It is what it is. We're getting kind of used to, this lack of power in one direction or another. On Friday, the Bears had the chance to break below 21.45, and today the Bulls had the chance to break about 21.65 with strength, and either are having a hard time doing it. But there is some individual stock movement, so let's just get right there. Here is the S&P cash. I think this is close to where it closed. Tried to push above this level and couldn't. Doesn't mean it's game over, but just doesn't mean there was power and buyers higher. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Still in this range. I definitely saw some more constructive action than faulty, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. Let's go around the horn. Okay, first of all, some things that did, you could have bought and continued up. Okay, one thing we were working on with it was Apple. Apple, really nice move above this spot. Nice double bottom after, after those earnings. We were talking about this bull flag, looking for continuation, and then basically it broke above this prior area, and you would think it can continue higher. We haven't had like 2 strong days in a row like this and this, or even like this one and that. But inching up, and I've been posting this chart every other day or so. So hopefully you've been trading around the position and doing well. I still think that at some point we're going to see somewhere near this 119ish. Okay, and some fuel was added because they the Samsung stopped producing their 7, et cetera, et cetera. But let's hope that tomorrow they don't talk about production online and then emotionally this gets hit and you just see, no follow-through. We like follow-through as traders, not one day up, one day down, one day up, one day down. But we'll see what happens here tomorrow. It's definitely something to be in some if you want to be in some. And then maybe, if they open lower, you could buy some. If they open higher, you could trade around it. Google finally woke up today. A lot of people are saying that, those who don't buy a Samsung might buy a Google, phone, or it could just be that they've released a lot of new hardware. They have a lot of new products. They're very cheap. Finally, it broke above this 808. So let's hope that, it trades above this and gets you another day. It's a nice looking chart. I got back involved again, and, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But basically, we talked about if you can get above and stay above, this 808, got to go with it and try it again, and it did. And now we'll see if there's a few inside days and just takes out this 820 or opens up above it. And if it opens up above it and you've been worried about missing Google breaking above this spot, you have to be in some. You have to be in some. And then figure out, what you can handle. Tomorrow, if it's down $2, $3, no big deal. If it's down $5, $6, $7, that'll be a pain in the tush. I'll say it. Locker room talk. Anyway, Amazon was kind of quiet. But it's been really just on a tear, so I don't think anyone was in a rush to get there. There was no real catalyst today. Here were your last few pivots, hanging in there. We'll see what happens here. Hold above the 8-day, still looks fine. Something else that we focused on was Facebook. Facebook, there was some news about the workplace, about this, about that, about, the virtual reality, and it's been really tight. So it was one of the things that actually worked today, where you were able to buy it after the open and make money. Okay, didn't close on highs, but we'll see what's next. Hopefully a little bit of follow-through. Here is your all-time highs, and you would think that a strong name like this that basically absorbed that, video news and some of the tax news popping up today should be able to continue. So if you're still in it, which I am, you would hope that maybe it can continue to the upside versus being a trap. I'm sick of these traps in this market, but, you got to play by the rules you play by. Tight pattern went up day 1, so maybe you get another day of follow-through. We shall see. Microsoft, no real power. You would think also this kind of reminds me of Google, how you had big gap up after earnings, still trending up, no real power, but in the game to help, bring tech higher. It's above the moving averages, and we'll see if that continues. Then you had the Twitter CRM situation. So Twitter this morning, I came in flat Twitter. We all, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I sold like a third or more of my options when it was at 25. Luckily, okay, I was just like, this was the target. You know, I don't want to get all my premium washed away if they don't get 26 or 28, whatever. And then on Thursday, when there was no bidders, sold the rest of it around 20.50. So today, this morning, I'll buy a third back near 17. So, you know, Twitter, you know, came down. Some guys played the stock. That's cool. You know, hopefully made some money off the lows. Some positioned in some calls. I feel like I positioned in the $18 calls, thinking, you know, down here, if it gets taken over back at 22, where it gapped up first, you know, that would be a win. I figured, you know, down here, maybe that's what they wanted. Up here, though, Twitter might have got greedy and said, hey, we want 28, 29, and all these companies are like, screw you. So now down here, you know, maybe before it gets stale again and before people keep talking lower, maybe they accept something a little bit higher. Who knows? At this point, I don't really want to overtrade this thing because it's so news-driven, so I figured down here, I sold half the options here, the other half there, the luxury to accumulate down here, and I'll just stay with what I have unless, you know, it discounts further down towards 16 or not. So that's Twitter. CRM, we had the calls from last week. It was a really nice trade on this doji bottom. You know, Sperling called it out. I bought some calls for the next day. It worked, and then I also had them for this Friday, but I figured this would be some resistance, so got rid of it today. The really nice plays. These counter trend plays in the hole that, you know, I guess our washout situations have been working with cheap paper. So not quite buy high, sell higher like I like to do, but, you know, you got to change it up because there hasn't been a lot of buy high, sell higher in the past 2 months. You know, so buying the dip, which, you know, guys have been doing, it's been working out. That's cool. You know, the one time you buy a dip and it turns into a bigger dip and a bigger dip, you can get hurt. Some of the guys, I don't know who's doing what with ACII, but, you know, if you figured they would hold price at 100 and you were buying a dip, okay, now you have to figure out what's next. Okay, here was the price when, just so you guys know, just a little education. First of all, IPO groups trade together, typically. It's very emotional. Here is the, you know, your one trade above the post-IPO high. Here is your next one. Okay, so in here, okay, you know, they announced a secondary somewhere around here. You had the up guidance boom. You know, word around town was 100 was going to be the deal. Gave you a little bit back and forth on Friday. So if you were short, it, you know, made sense to cover some. Okay, which is what I did. And then I tested long here around 102, and I was like, you know what? If it doesn't hold 100, anybody from the deal who tried to do the right thing and not just flip it from 100 to 103 or 100 to 104, probably puked it out, considering look how far it came from. So now, tomorrow we'll figure out what's next. All we know is this, you know, 92 is your pivot for tomorrow. Maybe we get a red dog reversal for a trade, maybe not. You know, the next point of reference here really is this big gap. So that's why, you know, you had to take a little care here. You know, Twilio was playing off the emotion of ACIA. You know, it got wind of the secondary up here, or maybe it didn't, but technically that was your momentum sell. And then once it couldn't bounce and took this out, that was your next spot. And then they now announced that they're doing a deal. And if they're not holding price on ACAI, you know, people thinking maybe this that had a big move, you know, could be in trouble that it doesn't hold and it gets diluted, et cetera, et cetera. So for tomorrow, we'll see what happens here. You know, this is your pivot, 51.39. We'll see if we get a red dog reversal tomorrow or not. Some of us tried it today, it didn't work, and got out of the way. We'll see what happens here. This is also, you know, pretty big point of reference. So that's a little bit closer to the 50. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. So those were the two lead dogs in that whole new sector. So once they started announcing secondaries and, you know, they weren't so tight, people started saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to, not sure what this name really does, but it was a new issue and, you know, it's breaking price. Let me get out of the way. You know, we saw that happen with something like this way back when. Remember when TTD, you know, looked like it was going to break out and then did not hold this and then fell apart? Okay, that was a clue that you only hold these if momentum levels hold and it could be vulnerable. So now this is just like, you know, a different pattern. It's not special. But down here, there was a nice little red dog reversal for a day and a half trade. So that's, you know, big breakdown. This was a nice buy Versa level, you know, and then a push. And that's what we're going to have to start looking for in things like here, NTNX. Okay, this, you know, a little different actually, still hanging in there. But now you know today's low. Okay, 33.68. Okay, we'll see if this holds there. Coop, actually different. Coop is the one that fell apart today, the third down day. Okay, so we'll see now, you know, if, you know, we were playing around with this pivot didn't hold, and now tomorrow we'll play around with this pivot. Maybe you get a red dog reversal tomorrow, and then it pivots, and there were some people who were buying here in the 30s and 40s, so down here at 27 or so. maybe there's a trade. If it opens up tomorrow and you're not in it, whatever. You don't have the risk on. But if it opens down tomorrow, we'll figure it out. Maybe there's a trade there. LN, I guess with all the big dogs trading down, it's also, got a little pressured. And that's what groups do when they trade together. But it held the 21-day for now. At this point, I've been out of it for a few days. I'm going to wait. Once the ACIA announced the secondary and then we got whiff of another one, you have to be careful with these because this one also has been public for a while and probably just as long as Twilio's been public, so we'll see. So, groups do move together and you have to be aware of what's going on with the leaders of groups, because they do actually affect, like the head of the dog affects the tail of the dog, if, what's leading what. And at this point, we'll see if ACIA and Twilio get a bounce tomorrow into support and go. Maybe some of the other ones do, and we can get a nice little buy the dip trade there into support with a calculated trade versus just buy. As far as the high beta names, they're strong. Let's hope that tomorrow we just get a gap down and a failure. That would hurt, especially considering that does look like this friggin' Google is finally ready to, break out and go. It looked the same way here before it went, and typically most people will be so pissed off and upset about it. So maybe now there's enough of that it can go. But again, we gotta see what's next here. Let's hope, whatever. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But this range, if you're playing for this range to break to the upside, like healthy stocks do when markets are healthy, then you have to be in some just in case it goes. If it opens lower, you might even be able to buy more and make more. If it opens down $2, goes green, trades through this and goes into the 820s, you'll make a lot more than if it opens up $3 based on what you probably have overnight. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. And that's it. It's Monday. Tomorrow at sundown is Yom Kippur. So for me, I will be eating a lot tomorrow between 5 and 6 o'clock because then on Wednesday I will be fasting and I will not be at work. Most Jewish people who are atoning for sins and who respect that holiday will be sitting in temple. So just to let you know that is ahead of us. It's Tuesday into Wednesday. Today was Columbus Day. The bond market was closed. So there is some light trading. You have these air pockets both ways. So just make sure you know what you're in and why you're in it and have a reason and have an out and just follow your process. See you tomorrow.